Welcome for the first time to our Quebec radio show, Prescription Punk Rock. It's a huge honor. I'm a fan of the project, but for people that maybe don't recognize your beautiful face or beautiful voice, who the hell are you?
I'm Hanne from 4 a.m. I'm the singer of 4 a.m. Nice to meet you. And yeah, I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah. For I am, you have a lot of fans in Quebec and Canada. I think that
Do we?
project,
That's good.
yeah, yeah. You don't see the algorithm in every like music platform where Canada is like hyping the rest of the world.
Well, I'm really, it's a problem. I suck at anything social media related. I just dabble in it and I just post like random stuff and hope that it reaches some people. Other than that, not sure about any of it.
But yeah, no, seriously, people love the project. We've been playing you on the radio show for 3 years, something like that, and the reaction is
Thanks.
always amazing. So yeah, maybe for people that unaware of the story of the band, how that crazy project started up.
I'll try to make a long story short. It's always difficult.
We have
But you
time.
see, I've always been in bands ever since I was like 12 years old, and even before that, I went to music academy and I sang in choirs, and so um, all throughout high school, I was in a punk rock band, and the other guys, well, Steph at least, he was too, and I think I'm not sure about Bo actually, but at one point we were in a cover band. Bjorn, Steph, and I, we were in a cover band together. We weren't actually doing punk rock music, and we regretted that fact. And we were like, hey, we're not feeling this. We really want to make our own music again, and we want to make punk rock because that's who we are. Um, so we left the cover band, and then there was this thing. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it was this gig that they asked us to perform at. So we needed a band quickly, and we said, okay, it's the three of us. And then we knew about a drummer who maybe wanted to do this one-time project thing, and a bass player too, but he canceled, and he said, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. I've got a replacement. He's very good. He'll be standing at the side of the road. He's Asian. He's got like these huge black glasses. And yeah, we recognized him immediately. Yeah, but even bigger than those. They were like huge. And we recognized him immediately. It was Bo. And we saw him, and he was our best friend ever since. So that was just love at first sight with Bo. And actually, it was the drummer we had back then, who after the show said, guys, we need to do something with this. This is amazing. We've got a vibe going here, and you're all good musicians. So we should actually start an original band. And we were like, hey, you know what? That's a very good idea. So we went along with it. But then 2 weeks later, he was like, oh, guys, sorry, I have a new job and family life is getting started, and it's going to be difficult for me to be in the band. So the guy who actually brought us together wasn't part of 4am eventually, which is a funny detail. So I asked Bram at the time, who I knew from school, from high school, and he was immediately up for it, and that's how we got started in, yeah, like the smallest rehearsal rooms there were, and just dabbling in music, and we really didn't know what we were doing, and we definitely never expected to get where we are now. So we're just super lucky and super happy about all of that.
You know what? I don't believe in luck. I believe in discipline and hard work and connection. And I think that's the three elements that made for I am what it is right now. People forget it's all about friendship at first. It's the connection between human that try to do something else and not doing like the 9 to 5 and then Netflix for every day of their life. And I think it's working because of that. And that's beautiful because our friendship with, as we grow old, it's harder and harder to keep that with the family times. The circle is just getting smaller, I think, with times. So to be in a band and keep on evolving together and creating something, it's a challenge. So congrats for that, but it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. And That's what we always say. This band is this band because we are a family. We're like a tight knit family unit, and we're all of us were best of friends. And definitely, we loved our two first drummers, Bram and Stan. Um, but I just have to be honest, and Joran is just such a perfect match for us. He's um, well, we came into the room and he was waiting for us, and he said like, okay, I want to be in your band, but there's one rule. We have to go for drinks once a month at least, without playing any music, just because I want to be your best friend. And we were like, oh my God, where have you been all of our lives? But again, that doesn't that doesn't mean that we didn't love Bram and Stan. Definitely very good drummers, very good people. They were also good friends of ours. It's just that this is just the match made in heaven, and we feel like our family is complete. It's amazing. Yeah.
It's so funny, and we must admit that Beer creates so much great music, over the last, since music exists. But it's cool. It like he said, like you have to step out the music and see if it work as human being, and then it's way
Mhm.
more easy to create because there's a connection, and Beer is a great start for connection.
A good connector.
Yeah. And you have great beer. What do you love to drink? What kind of beer are you into?
Well, any kind of Belgian beer. Well, not any kind. I would say my favorites are, well, there's actually, that's a very good one. There's one in Ghent here in Belgium, and they brew it over there. And you cannot really get it in many places. So when we go to Ghent, we always have a Klokke Roeland. It's like very strong. I think it's like 12% or something like that. It's a very, very strong amber beer, but it's super good. And I like all kinds of beers, like uh the lighter ones, like triples we have in Belgium, Trappiste we have in Belgium. So all of those like heavier kind of beers, which we're known for in Belgium, I think like they're all good.
Yeah, beer is beer. Like they always said, like a free beer is a free beer, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's
true.
cool because the culture of beer in Belgium is incredible. They have such history, and here in Quebec, we're into craft beer since 15 years almost, and like the last 10 years, we really start to getting better at it. So it's kind of a new thing here. It's weird, but yeah.
Good job. Maybe I should come over and try some of them and give you my Belgian expertise and pass it on.
Yeah, we have a couple of try to be Belgian beer, but yeah,
Yeah,
that will be rad. But yeah, of course, we want to have 4 in Quebec. We know it's tough getting here, but yeah. But let's get back
love
to
to.
when you were a kid before talking about the band and the new stuff. I'm curious how you start discovering music, and is there people around you influence you, friends, parents, relevant, whatever?
Yeah, definitely. My family on my father's side were actually always into punk rock. My dad is the oldest of three brothers. And he was like into bands like The Clash and like that period in punk rock. Oh yeah, exactly, yeah.
Clash.
Yeah. So he was into that kind of punk rock. And then the second brother, Koen, he was actually into the way rougher punk rock. So um yeah, it's not really my style of punk that he's into, but still it was kind of like hardcore punk, kind of even grindcore and stuff like that he's into. But anyways, but then uncle number two or brother number three, Hen, he's the youngest of the three. He actually owned a punk rock magazine, and a digital one, an online one in the 90s, which was quite revolutionary for that time. Um, and it was called punkupdates.com.
Oh
So
shit, he was behind that? Yeah,
yeah, that's
I
my
know
uncle.
that.
Yeah.
Wow. We like it was tough when the internet came to find like punk rock, history or whatever, and yeah, we went there. That was yeah, wow.
Yeah, so that's my uncle. So he kept on sending me music, and and telling me about these bands that I should listen to. So I was 5 years old and listening to the Vandals and Bad Religion and The Offspring. And so basically that's how I got into punk rock music. And just it attracted me from the start, of course, because my family was into it, but also just because of the mindset of the community. Immediately I felt like these are just good people spreading a good message, trying to make the world a better place. I just wanted to be involved in that from the get-go. So yeah.
That's incredible story. It's the first time I heard a whole family were into punk rock, but it makes sense. Like I'm 42, so it was impossible for me to grow up with parents that were into punk rock, or at least they would be, but at the end, like,
Yeah.
in their late 20s and everything. But they were not. They were more into the Beatles, and because
Good
of
band.
Columbia House, like they
Yeah.
got free albums, so but they were not into music at all. So yeah, it
Okay.
must be cool, like to have everybody passing you a tape, listen to that, and trying to make you listen to the good stuff, the real stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I was very lucky in that regard. Yeah.
And when you know do you remember when you thought or had the guts to say, I'm gonna try singing, maybe I can do that, or it happened like naturally? And
It kind of happened naturally, but the funny thing is, that's a whole story too. So, when I was in primary school, we had one of my very best friends, actually, her mother was teaching music academy in the small town that we were going to school to, in at, I don't know. But um she was teaching music academy, and she was kind of like recruiting our entire class, like, you have to study music, you have to study music, you have to study music. I'd always been interested in music, so I was keen on going there, so I went there. And then she started asking all of us to also join the choir which she was leading, which actually later on became a very successful choir. They won a lot of competitions and stuff like that. And at first I didn't really want to join because I was like, I'm not that much of a singer. I want to be in it for the guitar and the instrument and those things. Um, but then she kept on insisting, basically, and I remember standing next to her. She was playing the piano. She was teaching me how to sing, and I'll never forget that. And she was actually the reason why I became a singer. And actually, our entire class, we were all girls. It was a girls' school, so we all went to that choir, and I think at least two or three of them still sing to this day. So yeah, she's been a very great inspiration to us, and to me personally as well. So she actually is the reason why I started singing. And the reason I never gave up was just because, um, actually, that was because I went to secondary school then, and I was about 13, I guess it was. And there were these like kind of popular guys in school, and I was just in the background. I was being the punk rock girl standing in the background, like that. So nobody knew me. I was the girl who came from a different area as well. But then these kind of like popular guys saw that I had typed in my MSN Messenger. I had a nickname that said Gainesville Rock City, because I actually went to the Less Than Jake show, well, a Less Than Jake show that they were touring for their album Borders and Boundaries. I went there when I was like 13 years old, and he saw that, one of those guys, and he said like, hey, we're starting a band, would you like to join us? Well, after talking about punk rock and the fact that I was a singer, and he said like, hey, we still need a singer. And then I joined them, and that was it, and I never stopped after that. Actually, that's just what it was. Yeah.
that's crazy. That's crazy. I should, I should have done that when I was, 18 or 12 years old, but I didn't. Still, I don't know what I did, but I should like do the radio show and everything. When I look at it, it more came in my 20s, but that's incredible. It's so cool that you stick to it.
Hmm.
Music is a kind of living thing, and like I said, I think it's the best way to connect with each other. So it's beautiful that you connect back in the days and are still friends now, creating such rad music. I'm curious, when you start up the band, you start making song and everything. Now, is it with the experience and time, is it more easy for you to write and create songs than when you started out, or it's still a huge challenge?
Well, it is still a huge challenge because basically whenever you write a new album or a new song, for that matter, it kind of feels like people are expecting more and more and more with each album that you release. And it's not really like we're super worried about that. But it's something that you take into account. It's like in the back of your mind, like people need to think this is even better than the previous album. Um, which to us, fortunately, it does feel like that. With each album we made, I feel like we've progressed. Um, and I hope that people will agree with me on that with The Righteous and the Wicked, which is coming out. So, but it's definitely still a challenge. We are very, very lucky in that regard to have Tim, who is our producer. He is just the most incredible musician there is. He's the most incredible person there is. So he helps us out a lot in the writing process and everything. So yeah, super thankful that we have him. I don't know where we'd be if we hadn't had him. So yeah, Tim.
It's fun to have a person that is not into the band, into the writing and creating process. It bring a different angle, and sometimes you can see the mistakes that you don't see.
Hmm.
It's a cool approach that you have, and having you have to have a connection too. I heard so many story of band that went in studio with a producer and it didn't work, and they're kind of disappointed with the records after that, and they have kind of bad souvenir of that, so they don't go into that time of the band, and it's kind of unfortunately it's tough because you never know, but it's fun to have somebody that you trust and know the direction of the band, and you don't really have to talk. It's just a connection, and
Actually, Tim was a friend first and a producer second. So that's just the ideal situation. So we trust him definitely with everything. And if we have notes, he does his best to kind of yeah adjust things for us or whatever. So we listen to each other, and I think that that's the most important thing. We listen to him, he listens to us. Yeah,
the
definitely.
new album is a masterpiece, and you're right. Yeah, there's an evolution between each records, and it's so cool to see the chemistry involving, being better and challenge yourself, and the result is fucking amazing. Congratulations, seriously.
Thank you so much. Uh, yeah, no, that's a huge compliment because, well, we've been sitting on these songs for a long time now. It takes a while to release an album properly. Well, in our case, it does because we half the time we don't know what we're doing, so it takes a long time. No, but it's just the best thing to hear if anyone likes the music. And yeah, definitely, it's a challenge, but it's hopefully worth it in the end, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. We're such at an interesting time in music. I think the pandemic really changed thing. People got more time to listen more music. Of course, there was no gigs, but people heard some names out there and they went to listen to it and try it because they have maybe more time or working from their homes, whatever. And I think it helped people finding new band and kind of switch from the nostalgia thing into something new. And, I see it with the radio. There was way more kids in the scene, new band, kids at their beginning 20s and like they're rocking right now the world. So I think that we're going to see a huge switch with the headliners now and the new generation of band. And I think that even if you're not a new band, you will got catching the wave. You are in the wave. You've been catched by the wave. Sorry. But yeah, the name is out there way more, I think, than 3 years ago.
I hope so. And actually, yeah, in that regard, I do think that COVID hasn't been too bad for us as a band, though it has been for like in Belgium, I would say it has been very tough for bands because we used to have, if they well, I hope they don't mind me saying this, but we used to have a very, very vibrant, very alive punk rock scene, and we would see all the same people every week at the shows. It partly is obviously because everybody's getting families, everybody's growing up and stuff like that. But post COVID, it kind of just slowly disappeared, that punk rock scene that we had. Which actually made it so that we did sell a lot of records. Our Late Bloomers record did sell pretty well, but mostly internationally, which was strange to us. Um, it was a good thing, obviously, but it was a bit strange to us. And now we play, I would say 90% of all shows we play are in Germany, or at least outside of Belgium. So I think for the Belgian punk rock scene, it might not have been that good of a thing, but in general, I really do get what you're saying, and I can see that shift as well, and it's a very good thing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's true that it's different everywhere. And in Quebec, we had like for the last 10 years, we have a scene that really, build itself brick by brick. But like the promoters, the radio show, everybody kind of worked together. So when we came out of the pandemic, the scene was fucking strong and it's going crazy. Like every band stop in Quebec and yeah, we have great festival that survive, like the Poudza, for example, or Envolé Macadam, Le Déluge, Rock la Cause, whatever. So, but yeah, I think for us it was a good thing at the end. It was not a good thing at all, but for
Yeah,
music,
of course.
the rebuilding and the reviving was amazing. But yeah, it's not like when I spoke to Ben after that, it's not happening like that everywhere.
Yeah. No, not really. But on the other hand, it does, well, the positive thing that's coming out of it indeed is like you said, I do believe that there are more new bands arising, and yeah, I think that that's a good thing. That's a good vibe. So, yeah, it's all for the best.
Another cool thing with the band is that Belgium has such a huge cultural and is with there are so many elements in your music that came from the cultural thing. I think like people can spoke like I'm sure not everybody, but people speak like 3 4 language or are aware of other language. It's kind of like the whole Europe getting there, like rivers getting from Germany and France and everybody getting into Belgium and creating something really different and exciting. And when I speak to people in Belgium, they're really smart and yeah.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, no, but we are actually, it's mandatory to study a few languages here in Belgium. Like there's of course Dutch in the Flemish part where we live, but because we have a French speaking part, we learn to speak, well, not speak. I don't want to say speak because otherwise you'll speak to me in French and I'll be just like, uh-oh, can't do it. But I understand quite a bit of French and I can like je me débrouille, or how do you say that, right? Something like
Yeah, you're
that.
right.
So
Yeah.
I can manage in French. But I've studied myself. I studied Spanish as well, and German as well. You get that at school too. So, and English, obviously. So yeah, quite a few languages. That's true. Yeah,
That's right because I mention it because in Quebec we speak French, of course, not the French in France. We have
yeah.
a particular French, and it's funny because people are like, "What's that accent you have? It's not French from France." But it's weird. It's look like French. I'm like, yeah, it's French. It's Quebec French. But yeah,
Right.
so mainly it's more English and French. So we're not used to Spanish and German. I tried to learn Spanish and German in college, failed badly. Not Spanish. Spanish was like since it's from
It's closely
it's
related to
yeah,
French. Yeah.
yeah, you're right. It's kind of related. It's the same, it came from all the same place, but German, I failed badly. It's a really tough and hard language to learn.
Yeah, with the cases and everything. Yeah. It's closer to Dutch, so that might be why it's a little easier for us, but yeah, I get that.
Everybody, when I start taking, course in German, would like it's like English. Yeah, maybe English in England, but our Canadian English is way different. So no.
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely it's closer to Dutch than to English, but yeah. Well, Anyways.
But it's cool because Belgium has such a beautiful cultural history. So it's cool that we find it in the music and everything. So it's really diverse and original. That's another thing. I don't know if when you started up it was a goal to achieve something different from what you knew, but I felt that for I am it's kind of has a different approach, and it's not like every band. I cannot say, oh, they sound like.
Yeah, that's actually a huge compliment, I think, because we've always been like how should I put it? In the right way. So I feel like there's not too many bands with a female voice, that have like that more like typical American style punk rock thing going on. I don't know if I'm putting it correctly.
Yeah,
Like,
it sounds.
you know what? One of my biggest examples is, for instance, "No Use for a Name." Um, but immediately when you put my voice on a use for "No Use for a Name" song, or yeah, instrumental track or whatever, then it kind of sounds different from what you might know female singers to do very often, or something like that. I don't know. I can't really explain it. It's somewhere in there, but I feel it, but I can't explain it. So no, but it's we've always tried to be ourselves, and just whatever music came out came out. I remember, like, when we started out, we wanted to sound more like a cheerful band, like the cheerful songs that Blink 182 played, like more the poppy vibe. And you can feel that when you listen to our first EP, 15 Minutes Late. But then, like, as time went along, or as time went by, I think we kind of got more into that, like, more typical punk rock, um, but maybe more American style. Bad Religion, No Use for a Name, maybe even NoFX, like all of those bands. They were definitely examples to us, and maybe I think you can hear that in the music, but it's not very typical. I think, yeah, for us, it's very hard. They ask us very often, like, who would you compare yourself to? And I really don't have a very good answer to that. So
It's a
I'd
weird
say,
question to
yeah, I
ask.
get that. I get asked that a lot, actually. Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't know because, like I said, with the history of each member and the cultural thing, you even if you try, you cannot sound like American. It's just an influence, something that you
yeah.
inject in yourself, but it's mainly yourself more than the rest. So at the end, like you really have your own identity. I think
Mhm.
Weezo is a good example. They really try to have that American sound. They got signed on Fat Wreck, but when you're into it, it's totally different beats. They're not
Yeah.
typical American because there's always one song that, yeah, oh, they're not American. Of course, that's another thing. I never heard something like that. So yeah, I think you're a really original band, and it's really
Thank you.
work because you think they always say, like, when you try to rip a band, people see it, but when you rip like hundreds of band, it's just that music, everybody repeat each other.
Yeah, and that's something we don't want to repeat other bands, definitely, but we also don't want to repeat ourselves.
Mm.
That's something we think is very important, because there are bands who bring out 5 albums and they all sound the same. Um, no offense to those bands, obviously, but we kind of want to reinvent ourselves every time. That's just the goal we have. Um, and I think we're doing a good job at that. And what we try to do is put out records that are different in that way, that we don't have just one genre on it, like one punk rock genre, but we have just like a shitload of different genres just put into one album. But it's still, for I Am, that's kind of what we try to do. Like, we want to try to keep our vibe the same, but at the same time use different influences and put them into the music. Like, if you will listen to our new album, even the 2 songs that we already have put out, like Power Behind the Throne is a completely different song to Devil Undercover, for instance. And you'll see, if you listen to the entire album, that there's even more different vibes on there. Um, so I think that that's something we kind of pride ourselves in, is the fact that we try to, yeah, reinvent ourselves. Let's put it that way with each
Yeah,
song.
and it worked. It really worked.
Yeah, oh, thanks.
The album is amazing. Actually, how you came with the artwork?
Well, actually, of course, we had always been a fan of Mark DeSalvo's work. Just all of the bands that he painted for, like NoFX and Lagwagon and all of those. And but then at one point, we didn't really know how to reach him or anything, or we hadn't really thought about it because we were like, "Oh, he's the guy from way over there," and it's difficult to get a grasp of him. So but then our friends in You Nervous, another Belgian band, very good band, by the way, they actually had a painting made by him for their album, True Belief, it was, and um, we were just like, hey, like how's cooperating with it or collaborating with him, is he a good guy, is it fun to work with him, and they immediately were like, yeah, he's the best guy, he's super good at communicating, and just ask him and he'll give you ideas and he'll think with you, and it'll go smoothly, and yeah, it did. He's just the best guy. Communication was very, very good, so he kind of took our idea and made a masterpiece of it. Yeah. So we're
It's so
super
cool
happy.
because it's hard to make a visual into something like that. You really have to get into the music and have a vision that the band have. So you have to like connect at the same level, which is kind of hard. So yeah, it really nailed it.
Yeah, he really did. He really did. We were super happy. He sent it to us and we were like, whoa, this is amazing. So yeah, definitely. I would recommend working with him at all times. Definitely.
I wish Zoom allow me more time. We have to do a part two, maybe later this year's because it's so fun talking to you. And but if people have music budget and want to directly encourage the band, what's the best way to do it?
Oh, you can just go through our Bandcamp. You can actually pre-order the new album there, and you can order all of our albums there. So just if you go to 4IM's Bandcamp, you'll find us and you'll find the links you need.
Hell yeah, we're gonna make all the link available below. Of course, go encourage a band, go like their Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Follow them to see the dates and what's coming up for the band. Of course, we're gonna wait for you in Canada and Quebec. We wish so bad to see you here.
Oh, we would love to come over. It's just like time and money, right? We'll see what happens, but we'll try to be there as quickly as we can.
Promoters, right
Yeah,
to them.
promoters, help us out. We're a poor band from Belgium.
And yeah,
Love.
thank you so much. I really had a blast, seriously. Again, people go grab and listen to the music. If you don't have money, it's everywhere, every music platform. Go learn the song and challenge yourself. Try to sing them.
Yeah, definitely. Sing along with me. Woohoo! Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're gonna do a huge special on Prescription Punk Rock Radio Show, and make sure I send all the link and all the details. And thank you so much for your time and generosity. I really had a blast.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Prescription is what you need. No more inhibition, set yourself free. Just let go, that's my only plea. A punk rock prescription is